Hey y'all, it's your girl Naya Athena, and I just wanted to say that this video was before I realized that they were going to release a whole nother group of episodes. So, yeah, y'all wasn't finna get two videos when there's literally so many more episodes to watch and recap. So, enjoy this recap video.
Hey ye, hey ye. We are on the final episode of part 1 of season 3. Period. What up, y'all? It's your girl Naya Athena. Welcome back to my channel. And we are right back at it. Same outfit, different hair. We are on season 3, episode 4 of part 1, Bridgerton. Okay, so that means there's only one episode left, and it is coming out on the 16th, I believe, which is next week. And so we gotta pump these out. We gotta stay on it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So let's get right into it. We left off with some feelings that look like they were bubbling up inside Colin, as well as a lot of other things with a lot of other characters. So boom, we're right into it with the Featherington family, the sisters. They're discussing again how they are just so sure that they're with child, both of them, like they got a child and da 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 da. And their mother, Lady Featherington, is meanwhile spying on Penelope and Lord Debling in the room, having their little session, their little call session or whatever. And they're just talking and they're bonding. And so obviously her mom is like spying on them, and then the sisters walk up and they start spying as well. And they enter the room, and Lady Featherington is like being weird, and I don't know why the family felt the need to interject, but yeah, like Penelope was straight, and here they come just trying to help, but actually not helping at all, doing quite the opposite. So boom, then we go to Lady Bridgerton, and she asks her son Colin to come with them to the next event, and he's like, "No, I'm okay. Like I'm tired, da da da," and so or he don't feel good. And she asks him like, "Does he have something to say to her?" Like because of ooh, pretty much asks if he has anything he want to like talk about with her, and he's like, "No," like. But she just lets it go because, a mother knows, but she just lets it go. So then we see Cressida's mother. Sorry, I still don't know their last name. They say it. I think it's Cowper, like Lady Cowper or something like that. But Cressida's mom receives a call, and she actually is called on by the other Bridgerton brother. So very random, but kind of here for it. Like they kind of getting along. So, or doing a little bit more than getting along, but yeah. So then we see Lady Danbury pretending to enjoy her brother's company because obviously he's like talking to her about his whatever, and she's like, yeah, 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 whatever. And she's like, why are you here though? Like, what are you here for? And he's like, oh, I missed home and I missed society and I also missed the ladies. And obviously, Lady Danbury is like, see, nah, like, yeah, no, I don't have time for you and your games that you be playing with these women. So clearly, she already know her brother, and that's why he's an unwanted visitor because she don't want him causing no problems. And so Lady Whistledown also praises the queen in her writing for choosing Francesca and possibly making her the diamond. And of course, the queen is like, oh, we're going to celebrate this. Like, I'm going to throw a ball. And so the Bridgertons are overjoyed to have Lord Samadani, which is the queen's match for Francesca, call upon her. So they're like waiting, like they're like anticipating that he calls upon her. And instead, her first call is from the other guy that approached her in the garden, Lord Kilmartin. Black guy. So, and the Bridgertons are like confused, like, who is this? But they see how Francesca interacts with Lord Kilmartin and how, like, she's just so excited to see him, and they just end up sitting in the room in quiet. Like, they literally don't say anything to each other. So the Bridgertons are like, they're not even talking. Like, what is going on here? They're literally in awe, and it's kind of hilarious. So then we see the Kents, and they argue about whether they should keep the club or not, because at this point they're like, people will talk if the Queen's court members are like owning a club on the side. And obviously Lord Kent is like, I'm not getting rid of my club. Like, are you dumb? But especially after all he had to do to get it, like, I don't blame him. So they kind of argue about that. So then we go to Lady Featherington, who tries to tell Penelope to like dumb down her approach with Lord Debling, because, you know, she's like, men like to explain things. So, like, let him explain things. And she's like, no. And I guess, like, she had a book in her hand and he's like, "Oh, is that a book you ever?" And she's like going to explain it, but then her mom like cuts in and it's like, "Oh yeah, like no, she doesn't do that." And it's just like, "Okay, girl, you getting in the way for real. Like you don't need to tell Penelope how to Penelope got this." But I understand she a little excited. But girl, please, like you don't know nothing. So, now we're at this event where it's like a huge library showing or something like that. And Colin has peeped Penelope and tries to like find a way to like find a distraction pretty much from her. So he goes with the other guys and we see Penelope and Lord Devlin talk about reading and like Penelope's passion for romance novels and they discuss like being like kind of like a practical match because he's like, "Well, you know, I would be traveling the world and you could stay here and like pursue, you know, your writing like it's a practical thing, like it just makes sense." And she's like, "Yeah, I suppose like it makes sense." And he implies that he would ask Penelope's mom for her hand in marriage. So she's like, "Oh, bag's truly secured." But she's like, she's still kind of iffy about it. So Colin starts falling apart, clearly. He's over there being a whore again because he don't know how to handle his emotions. Then we see Francesca approach Lord Kilmartin again, in the street, literally stops him in the street it shows like a lot of curiosity for him, like tries to talk to him, but he's not really a man of words, clearly, because he don't really say much. He kind of just tries to hurry up and like leave. And so she tells her mom like she's not interested in him. Like, don't even ask, don't even say nothing about it. But clearly she is. So then we see Eloise visit Cressida's home, which is the first time we've seen Eloise like go to anybody else's but Penelope's home. And she's just like, "I'm just here to check on you, you know." And Cressida's like, "Oh, I never had a friend who would do that. Like, that's kind of cool." And then they hear the father of Cressida approaching. Random dude. Like, we've never seen this man. Just now hearing about him, barely, you know, still don't understand. So the father comes and he's like, "Can I have a word with my daughter?" Eloise's like, "Yeah, okay." She walks out the room. And then, like, Eloise literally ends up hearing the father tell Cressida that she cannot be seen with no Bridgerton no more. And she like, "What?" And so, yeah, so his name is Lord Cowper. So I'm pretty sure that is like the last name of Cressida. So yeah, Eloise is like, "Damn, okay." And then that scene ends. So then we see Lord Kent at the bar. And he's kind of struggling to like improve his bar because he can't be there as much because he's in society now. And the men that sit at the bar, including Colin, they are like just being men and telling like all these drunk stories, crazy stories about women. And Colin is like, "Why do y'all always have to like view women in that way? Like why it can't just be cool? Why y'all can't just be cool pretty much?" And so, you know, they like, "Man, what?" Like he pretty much called them out. And so he go home, he's stressed still. Very much they just pretty much showing Colin stressed after every scene. And then we see Penelope entering through a door as we see Lord Dublin leaving. So it's implied that he just asked her mom for marriage. And Lady Featherington is pleased to give him the permission to marry Lord Dublin. Like, duh, like, you know, she needed this. And so Penelope recognizes her mom, like, pretty much expects her to take care of them all. And she's not here for that. She's like, "Oh my God, like, I do not want to deal with y'all no more." But obviously she's just gonna go along with it because that's her mother. And she's apparently like I think her mom like asked her, like, "Girl, what is you still holding out for? Like, what's the problem? Like, I don't understand." And she's like, "Don't tell me you holding out for love." And her mother is just like, "Girl, you need security, da 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 da." And Penelope is like, "Yeah, I guess." Like, but she holding out for that love. And I'm assuming that love is for Colin, which is like, okay. Okay. So then we see Lady Bridgerton tell Colin some wisdom, and she tells him that Penelope might get proposed to, you know, thanks to his help. So, but you know, it's so sad that you couldn't attend the event that you said you couldn't go to because you were sick. So he like, "Oh," but I guess he still doesn't end up going. Okay. So boom, they're at the event. So at this event, there's a dance, and it's like a dance for lovers. So the queen is like, hopefully, this will inspire people to be in love tonight. But she really just focused on her sparkling diamond in the making. But the guy, Lord Kilmartin, he does seem very standoffish towards Francesca. So Francesca's kind of like, dang, like it's always the ones you want. So then we see Penelope and Devlin dance again, and they're dancing or whatever, and this is a big thing in society. And we see Francesca and the other guy, Lord Samadani or something like that. They're dancing, and then we see Lady Bridgerton is approached by Lady Danbury's brother, right? And she's surprised that he doesn't know like his sister, because she's like, yeah, your sister cool. We be gossiping together, and he's like, oh, what? Y'all be gossiping? And she like, you didn't know? Like that's your sister. And he admits that, like, he ends up admitting to her, like, he was married before, but she died. But he was like, yeah, like, my marriage was kind of arranged. It was like a slow burn, though, but it was cool. And then Lady Bridgerton is like, all I know is love. 'Cause but she lost her husband too. But she's like, yeah, I only know love matches. So they're kind of like sharing different perspectives on what they know for marriage and stuff. So then Lady Kent shows grace for Lady Danbury being with her, because they're like keeping each other company, because her husband is still at the club trying to like get that together. And Lady Danbury tells her, like, the queen is not gonna be pleased to know that y'all still holding got a club. Like, you gotta tell him to let that go. And she's just like, look, he he ain't gonna let it go. But that's just something they have to deal with. So then we see Lady Arnold and the other Bridgerton. So that's her. So here's the thing. I learned that Cressida's mom is Lady Arnold, but Cressida's last name is Cowper. Like her father, I guess, is Cowper. So they're not together, but they don't make it clear, like, because I didn't think divorces were a thing in this society. But I don't know. But yeah, or maybe they never were married, like, I don't know. But Lady Arnold is her name, and the other Bridgerton, and they're like pretty much undercuts. At this point, they hooking up, like they cool. Which, I mean, I ain't even mad at, to be honest. It's kind of, kind of just like a little Easter egg. And then we see Cressida like apologize to Eloise on behalf of her father, and they're Eloise like, look, it's cool. And so they become closer friends off that. And then we see Colin clearly in a state of unrest, not at the event, but just in a state of unrest. And I don't know if y'all can hear that airplane, but yeah. So then we see Lady Danbury's brother tries to bond with her, but she's not here for his games. Like, she know how he is. So she's like, bruh, no. I see that you a player, and I'm gonna need you to chill out. And he's like, I'm not a player, I'm not a player. And she's like, I'm not stupid. I know you. So then we see Lord Kilmartin approach Francesca after she's get done dancing with the other guy. And he apologizes, and he's like, here, take this, like gives her like a piece of paper or whatever. And he's like, I'm not really like a man of many words, so I did this instead. And I guess she shows a lot of appreciation for it. Like, she loves it. And she's like, she tells her mother, I'm gonna go home early. And that was that. Like, she pretty much rejected the other guy too. Like, cool. She was excited to go home. So the queen sees this, and she's like, man, what? Like, the queen is like, what's going on? What's going on? What happened? And the Featheringtons, both the sisters, think they pregnant still. So they still talking about that. But then we see Colin actually arrive at this event. And I'm like, oh, I thought he wasn't coming. But he actually does arrive. He makes a late arrival. And we see Penelope is like speaking of love to Devlin, and like saying, like, do you think there could be room for love in this practical match? And he admits that he might not have enough space in his heart for love, like, because he's just like he's so entranced in his passions and stuff, which is kind of sad, honestly. So they're dancing while they're speaking, but Colin ends up approaching them and like asking Penelope for a word or something like that. So then now Colin and Penelope are dancing, and Eloise and Cressida see that from afar. So Cressida slides in and starts dancing with Lord Devlin. So Penelope is dancing with Colin, but she's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? Like, I'm about to secure this bag. Like, why are you, doing this or whatever? And Colin is kind of like, he's not necessarily saying anything crazy, but he's stalling. That's what it is. He's literally stalling. And he's like, you don't think this will be a mistake? Like, why would you want to do that? Da 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 da. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, we did all of this. Like, so they're having kind of like a heated conversation as they're dancing. And Cressida is like basically telling Lord Devlin, like, look at them, like they like each other. Pretty much planted the seed, like they like each other, and you that's who you want, like, cause she's who she is. So obviously Lord Devlin sees this and he's like, oh, now it's all starting to make sense now, like why she acts the way that she does around Colin. So as he begins to like go his separate ways from Cressida, Penelope tries to catch up with him and she's like, wait, like, propose, pretty much. And he's like, look, it's come to my understanding that you love him and I can see it. I can see it in your eyes, in your face, how y'all communicate. And he's like, listen, it's not gonna work. I can't marry somebody and then be traveling and knowing that you already like somebody else. Like, no, this is not that. And so he pretty much rejects her. And Penelope is just like, dang. So she gets rejected. And that was like her only hope, for real, for real. If it wasn't gonna be Colin, if it wasn't gonna be Lord Devlin, that was it. So she's upset, and of course her mother comes and she's like, oh, what happened with Lord Devlin? She don't even care about how Penelope feeling. So Penelope finally checked her and like, dang, like you don't even care about how I feel. All you care about is if we got men and if we married and did that in the first. And so it make like, she kind of like is upset with her mom too, because her mom is very like hell bent on this title stuff, which I mean, that's all she's ever fought for, you know what I'm saying? But like also she's never thought of it from a perspective of her kids and how they actually might feel, because her sisters don't really have that depth, I guess. Like Penelope is the only one with that much depth. And yeah, so Penelope is crying and then she ends up just leaving. And of course, we see Colin like chase the carriage, but she is already gone. Like it literally shows that she's already gone by the time he gets there. So I'm like, cool, whatever. So then we see Lord Kilmartin actually arranged music for Fran. So that's for Francesca. Like that's what he gave her, was a sheet of music that he rearranged. So she's like pretty much at her piano, which is why she wanted to leave early. And then we see Colin actually stops the carriage. Like he's knocking on the carriage. And she's like, what? Like, what? And he's like, can I get in? And she's like, I guess. Like, what do you want? Like, you already blew it for me. So I didn't think he was gonna stop the carriage. I'm like, bruh, y'all played. Cause I thought that he was too late. He ran down on the carriage. Like, what? That's crazy. So he ends up talking to Penelope and he basically like, oh, like, did Lord Devlin propose? And she's like, no. Like, no, he didn't propose because you want to play games. And so he admits, at this point, he finally admits that he has feelings for her. And Penelope is like, what? Like she literally can't believe it because she been in love with this man for 3 seasons, which is crazy. But she's like, I thought we were just friends though. Like I thought we was just friends, kind of pretty much friend zoning him. But then she ends up saying, obviously she loved him too. And they give in and they begin to finally fall into the temptation of each other. And what's that song that start playing? I thought it was We Found Love in a Hopeless Place. But it wasn't. It was Tonight. Give me everything tonight. Which is they're probably in the same key or something. But I was very disappointed because I'm like, why wouldn't you play We Found Love in a Hopeless Place? Why wouldn't you play that instead of the other one? Like, I don't know, but I guess like that's what I be talking about. But anyways, yeah. So they in the carriage, whatever. But mind you, they live right across the street from each other. So I guess the carriage was instructed to go to the Bridgerton house first. So when they get to the Bridgerton house finally, he gets out and then he's like, are you coming? And she's like, you want me to come in there with you? And he's like, are you gonna marry me or not? And so at that point, that was the proposal, and that ends the episode 4 of season 3, part 1 of Bridgerton. and they're obviously about to get married. So I mean, at this point, I can't do nothing but be here for it because it was gonna happen. Anyways, I just want y'all to know that I was low key against it, and I really don't like how he proposed to her either. Because what you mean is you gonna marry me or not? Like she couldn't wait to hear that. Like, mm, okay, that's who y'all like. That's your man. You stick beside him. That's okay. Whatever. But y'all, that was part one of Bridgerton. I will see y'all in the next one. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a friend. But yes, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.